Hey everyone, it's David here. So, welcome if you're watching. I'm going to jump in and ask some questions or answer some questions, I should say. And I will be going live again on Monday at 11 a.m. CST. And by the way, I will be giving out some freebies like shirts, like maybe some Surplus Institute and everything. We're having some ordered right now. So, I'll get some of those out to you all so that you can have those as we're doing this. And I'm not used to going live here. So, this is pretty awesome. Okay, so some questions that I've been asked that I just want to answer. If you're on and you want to ask any questions, feel free to. So I recently got a deal, and someone said, "Did you really make 3,000 off of when your client got 3,000?" My client almost got 4,000 in overages. We went in this deal, and it was about 100,000, and we were going to get somewhere around 20. We were going to get around 80, and that includes my law firm retrieving the funds. You always take away 15,000 right off the bat because that's what auction fees and auctioneers and everything are, which in my opinion is highway robbery. But then you also have what's other liens on the property, which none came up. Even when the law firm ran a lien check, no liens came up on this. Open. I'm just answering a question right here on my general questions here. So then the second didn't show up. It was what we call a silent second, and it got recorded after the filing, and it was like over $50,000. By the time at the end of the day, there was less than 10,000. There were less than 10, so we split it with our client 50-50, did all the paperwork and everything, and she was fairly happy. What's incredible about this is that she had no idea that there were funds there. So what we did is we jumped in and we got her paid, and then we obviously got paid for it. So that's what the beauty of this business is. So did we get 3,000 and she got 3,000? Technically speaking, she got a little more than that. She made about 1,000 more than what we made. All right, let's go to the next one. Is the market becoming saturated? And that question I get all the time, and I say absolutely not. We just got a deal alive. We got a yes over the weekend. If you looked at the video, I handed someone a check. Then I went and as I was leaving that trip, and this business is truly remote. You could like truly work this business from anywhere. So what I did is I went ahead and drove back home. And as I was driving back home from that trip, it was a 4-hour drive to give her the check, and I hand her the check, which is super cool. Look at the market is not saturated. What you have to do is you have to consistently work the market, but it's anything but saturated because we're getting deals left and right here. Hey, welcome. Feel free to ask me any questions that you have. I'm just going over some questions that have been asked to me on this. Why does your website need to be upgraded? Okay, so my claims website does need to be upgraded. Here's the thing: when you're working unclaimed funds, seldom do people ever look at your website, but they do. Yes, have a good website, have it upgraded. That is on my to-do list. It's been for a while. We've been actually rebuilding the program quite a while, so that will be rebuilt 100%. We'll get that up and going on there. All right, let's go ahead and continue asking. And by the way, feel free to put a question up in chat. If you're joining us or you're coming across and just checking out the channel, feel free. If you find unclaimed funds, that means the amount is owed by someone to the person, correct? And are we an investigator and do we get 10%? That is a good question. So if I find unclaimed funds, does that mean the amount's owed to them? Yes, it does. It means that the amount is owed to them. However, it doesn't mean someone owes them money. So when I'm looking at this particular question, it doesn't mean like John owes Jane money. It means like there's a couple cases here. Number one is there's a forgotten account. Could be an inheritance, could be a bank account that belongs to Jane, and she's got that money that she has a claim. So money is owed to her. It's usually being held by the government. There's many areas where question, what software do you use to search for people? I use my own personal software that I developed. It's called surpluslist.com. I will put it up in the chat that you could see it. And if you want to email us, help@surplusinstitute.com. I can give you a free trial on it, like maybe 14 days or something like that. Just put free trial. Has to be in today with this chat though. So, and by the way, I'm doing another chat on Monday, and I'm going to give away a 30-day free software usage. It's really good. It's compatible with the with the TLO and all that. Hey, JBB3X, I will definitely honor that. Go ahead, email us help at surplusinstitute.com and put free trial in the and then put that username down, and I will honor that. And the sooner you do that, the better. So yeah. Okay, so going back to this question that I have up here, it says, do I get 10% every time I help someone claim money? So it depends. Sometimes I get 10%, like the deal I just explained a moment ago. I got 50% because the funds were so low. I typically, if it's state funds, I start off at 10%. If it's a mortgage tax overage, I start off at 30%. However, if it's like 300,000 or 400,000, I don't come in at like 40%. I come in. We do have a deal that we messed up on. We actually looked at the deal, and it was for 80,000. For some reason, it looked like a smaller amount when we came. We got our numbers crossed in my office, and we got 40% of that, which is a 32,000, which will be my highest ever paid deal ever. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pay the lawyer fees, all the court costs, everything. Usually that comes first, and then the percentage. I'm going to go ahead and just cover all that right up front because I didn't mean to do that high of a percentage, and that was a mistake on our part. What state was the 50% in? That was in Texas, and it was a mistake. It was I'm sorry, it wasn't a mistake. I was just talking about that deal a minute ago. We had a mortgage overage for $100,000, and they're our client. And they're roughly making about 4,000. We roughly made about 3,000 in the process. So we didn't quite get 50% of it, but we did a little bit of a split with them. And that's kind of Monday at 11. And I'm going to probably do one every Monday at 11. I just jumped in today to kind of warm up because I'm not used to being live. Like right now I'm live. I've got my 7-year-old in here with me, man, or my 6-year-old. He's going to be 7 in a few weeks, man. Pretty exciting, but we're just kind of hanging out or so. Yeah, let's see some other questions that have been brought up to me. Feel free to ask me any questions. Okay, can you please explain the difference between state funds and tax sell overage funds? Okay, I think what you mean by that is, can you tell me the difference between state funds and tax funds or tax overages? State funds, if you look in the back of my bookshelf behind me, there's a red book I reference to a lot. It's laying on the shelf. That's 150 years old, and that is state unclaimed funds or government unclaimed funds back 150 years ago when they couldn't find people. This goes back, like, let's say grandma had a bank account from Bank of America that she never shared, and that bank account goes dormant because she passes. Nobody knows it existed. That is state, and that gets turned over to the state. Most states have it where after like 3 or 4 years, if you don't reach an individual, you have to turn it over to the state. That becomes state unclaimed funds, and it's at the state. And most states, not all, West Coast states tend to be a little more friendlier than East Coast states. You can go in and be a property funds locator, and you can get anywhere from 10, 20, 30%. Like I know California, it's 10%. I think in Utah, it goes up to either 20 or 30%. Florida, it's up to 30%, but you got to work with someone. So every state has their own rules and regulations with that. And you just have to know which state to work in and which state, what the state protocols are. Yes, this live link will be posted. I don't know if the connection is lagging, but yes, it will definitely be posted. I'm going to leave this up. And I'm probably going to go for probably about another 5 to 10 minutes. Now, going back into tax overages, when someone's not paying their property on taxes, it goes up for a tax sale. And when that property sells, let's say and these are clean because that overage is 90% of the time, 99% of the time, they're unlike mortgage overages. But like, let's say 123 Main Street goes up for auction and it sells for over the asking price at tax overages. What ends up happening is that overage, so say it's going for 30,000, it sells for 100,000. Happens all the time. That's $70,000, and we just got a 23,000 verbal contract over the weekend. That actually was on Monday, I think, that we got it. That 70,000 is what's called an overage that goes back to the individual. And there's over $50 billion of estimated unclaimed funds between tax and mortgage overages in the United States right now. This is a very happening business right now, and it's very it's out there. So hey guys, I'm going to go for 4 more minutes. So I talked about state unclaimed funds and tax overages. By the way, I'm gonna put this link in here. Here's a link. It's a free course that explains a lot of that. Feel free to jump on that if you'd like to jump in that. And like I said, if you email me, just help. Well, my office help@surplusinstitute.com. What I'll do is, if you're looking for software, I will give you a free 14-day trial, and then you can cancel any days after 14 days. However, once your trial is activated, like a lot of people wait and wait, and when we give them a free trial or something like that, and I'll be handing out more. Like on Monday, I'm going to hand out some surplus shirts, gears, and some other stuff like that. But would love for you all to come in and check this out again on Monday. So let's go a couple more minutes. Any other questions? I seem to have a lot more people or a few more people coming on than earlier. Yeah, and I will post this live. I'm going to go with another question that got asked is, can you recommend where to search and how to be licensed? Is it a public thing or must I attend school? Oh, that's a good question. That depends on where you want to work. Like California, it's super simple. You just simply go to the state and you send them a registration letter. It's right there on their webpage. If I could screen share here, and I can't. Actually, it looks like they might have it now where I didn't know you could screen share. I'll be prepared for that on Monday, and I'll do that on Mondays where I'll show you all how to do that. That's brand new YouTube. I haven't done a YouTube live in quite some time. But you just simply register and you're an investigator. Other states like Pennsylvania, they check you out. You have to have 2 letters of recommendation. It takes 60 days to get registered. And then like Texas, you have to become a PI, but it's not that hard to do. You go through a couple, like I want to say like I've never done it, but a number of people I know have. But you go through some training, and then boom, you go ahead and you're a licensed PI, and you become you're able to jump in and be an investigator. All right, let's go ahead and wrap up with a few more questions here. Any other questions, please ask me. I'm just reading off some questions that got asked me before this. How are you taxed? Okay, that is a question I get all the time is, do you have to pay taxes on the overage? Do you have to claim it? My understanding is you do. So like, let's say I'm working in California and I make $10,000. So I'm actually got my highest California claim ever. I just got a deal under contract a couple weeks ago. It was from someone famous. It's from his sister, which is pretty cool. Unfortunately, he's deceased because I'd asked to go to one of his concerts. I'll tell who this is after the deal happens. But their parents had a corporation stock that was worth $260,000. That's my highest claim ever. I'll get $26,000. I will have to pay tax on those $26,000. I would be like pulling my hair out if I had to keep records of all this. And my CPA gets really irritated at me because I have a credit card where I can like it gives me airline miles. It's my personal card, but I literally throw everything on it and then I pay that off, and I get free flights all the time. So it's kind of like so that's kind of what I do. But do I have to pay taxes? Absolutely, I do. But I let her figure that all out because like I have a lot of write-offs. Like this, if you look, this is like kind of my home office right now, and it's a building behind my house, which is super cool. It's 360 square feet, so that's a write-off. Things I do for my business, vehicle, travel, things like that. I just went and handed somebody a check a couple weeks ago, last weekend. That's a business write-off. So I let her handle all that. And what I do is I just submit the documents to her. So that is what I do there. Okay, 1 or 2 more questions and we are going to wrap up. Okay. Hello, I came across you. I've been getting text messages saying that I have unclaimed money. I don't think I would have unclaimed money. I live from paycheck to paycheck. You never know. Like I've gotten like this lead singer sister that I was just talking about. She had no idea that she had $260,000. In fact, the lady that I just got paid, and literally go to my shorts, look at one of my videos, go to my homepage. It was like 2 or 3 posts ago. One of the questions I asked her was, I said, did you know you had these funds? And it was her mother's property. She couldn't afford the payment. She let it go, and she had an overage. What we found out about this property, and this is why, like I was talking about mortgage overages earlier, and I'm being a little repetitive here. There was a second that didn't show up on title. Even the attorney didn't show up for her. But when the bank put out the link out there and it had shown up, and that second had to be paid, so we got a lot less money, but we still made $3,000. Here's the thing: this still took me less than 30 minutes to put together. Most people don't make $3,000 in 30 minutes, let alone a lot of people don't even make $3,000 a month. And the thing is like if you're interested in this business, you got to pull the trigger. You got to get to the point where you're saying, hey, I'm going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to pull the trigger. All right, I'm going to answer one more question I got earlier. Then I'll look at live one more question, and then I am going to need to jump here. So the next question I have is, could you tell me the best way to contact insurance companies, the larger corporations? How can I get these paid out and make a deal? I see some with a lot of money. That is a loaded question that I will answer, and that's going to be. And then if there's any other questions that come up in chat, I'll answer. I'll answer any other questions that come up here in the chat. Love these questions, and let's keep them going. Again, if you're on, I'll be back on Monday at 11 a.m. CST. So this time at 11 o'clock on Monday. So just be ready for that. So with the insurance companies, large corporations, I tend to stay away from because you're having to go through too many people with unclaimed funds. So, like, let's say you have something like Farmers Insurance or State Farm or a big insurance company. I guess what you could do is I would call a local office, and I've never done this before, but this is personally how I would do it. And I would explain to somebody. Now, if it's a local office, so say you live in a small town, let's say you live in Huckleberry, and there's a State Farm Huckleberry. You call that State Farm office, and if that's the office that has it, ask to speak to the owner, say that you're calling, and don't just call and say, hey, can I speak to the owner? I want to talk to the owner about this. What I would do is I would call and say, this is David Church trying to reach the owner. I'm calling regarding a claim, and most state claims will tell you what the claims are for. I'm calling regarding a cashier's check that has not been claimed, that's gone dormant in January 15th of 2020. Who could I talk to about this? I need to talk to the right person. If you're that business oriented, you're going to get somewhere. You don't want to call and say, hi, I'm a state funds locator. I want to get paid, because if it's a smart employee, they're going to want to get the credit for that. But if you call like you're from a business and the business of that check, so this is David Church trying to reach the Huckleberry State. I'm calling about a dormant check. Who would I talk to about this? We need to go ahead to the right person for bookkeeping purposes. Who would I talk to about this? And then start leaking out information. Not too much information, not that you're a state funds locator, and you might make it to the owner. Another thing you could do is, if you know the name of the corporation, you can always do a corporation search. Go to the state Secretary of State, do a corporation search, get the names on the corporation, and contact them directly. I have done that with Unclaimed Funds. I've contacted individuals in charge of corporations, but I've never gone to something like Bank of America, because, geez Louise, man. And Bank of America is a good example, because they're not going to have a local office. They're like nationally owned. And I do know someone who did actually almost get it in with Bank of America. He knew the VP and everything, and then she ended up getting promoted, and she no longer handled that direction of the funds in that actual department. But yeah, just call up and talk to that person. Hey everyone, I am going to wrap this up. I'm seeing no other questions here. I do appreciate everyone being on. I did put up a free training up in the link. If you want to go ahead and go for it, I'll put it up one more time. That's free training. If you email me, help@surplusinstitute.com, I will give you some free. I just accidentally put that in. Let me type this off. I will give you some free skip tracing for a couple weeks, like 14 days. Just put skip tracing in the subject line, and put that you were in this. I will make that good for like the next. I'll make that good for the next 30 minutes, and then that's going to expire. So if you're watching this late, thank you for watching. I am doing another live on Monday. I'm going to be giving out freebies, and there's the help@surplusinstitute.com email. So feel free to contact our office. We'll be gladly to work with you. Appreciate you all being on. Let me know what you think about this. Do me a favor, if this was good, give me a like. And if you want me to talk about anything, just let me know. Be on Monday and text me. I do get questions all the time that I pulled up for today, and then there were some questions on here. Appreciate everyone being on, and I will see you all around. Thanks again. Talk to you all later.